So now, thanks to the kindness and generosity of the East Antrim CB users, who kindly donated 2 Thunderpole 3000s to me, we're now able to fit a Thunderpole 3000 in the Almera, and the other one will go in the van in due course. So this shouldn't take above 10 minutes. We already did the SWR on the aerial. We used the analyser, and we know it's spot on in the centre of the 80 available channels. So we SWR'd it on channel 1 of UK. Conversely, we could have SWR'd it on channel 40 of CPT because it would still be in the centre of the band. So although we only use 2781, when we do the tests we want it to be fair, and so we set the SWR for the centre of the 80 channels. So we are going to put this radio in. It's the only place it can really go is down the left hand side. Mr. Chippy doesn't want to lose the drinks holder in the middle of the console. We've had one of these cars before and we've done a super duper splendid fitting in the middle of the console, and it was all very nice with a Midland 78. But we want to leave the aerial connector exposed so that if he needs to put a test radio in the car, because it can sometimes happen, we can go off, park on a hilltop and take 10 radios and see what we think as a blind test. So he wants to leave that aerial connector exposed, and he asked for it to be long enough to reach onto the seat, and as you'll see, just peeping onto the seat there, we've got a Cybernet emergency set, the ZX1, isn't it? So we'll take a Thunderpole out of the box and we'll start with the brackets and things. First thing I've done, as you can see, is to connect the power lead to the chock block. Now that's not the power lead which is supplied with the radio. We can make these because it's actually the same moulding as used on the Cybernet version of the Amstrad and the Mustang and some of those other sets using the 002F chassis. It's a square round moulding, but it's the opposite polarity. So we do the Amstrad lead, we do the Thunderpole 3000 lead, because the Thunderpole 3000 lead comes with a cigarette lighter, and it seems a shame to cut off most of that wire and just leave a stub. There's nothing to stop you having a coil of wire, but it's more to hide away, isn't it? And I just don't want to cut the plug off. I certainly don't want to use a cigarette lighter. So that's onto the power lead now that we did. So let's we'll get the drill in. I like drilling cars, and we'll get that bracket installed. We can all see that bracket in with 4 screws. We've used those ones with the built-in washers. There aren't screws provided in the fitting kit. Some makes do, some makes don't. Anyway, I got an SWR meter out. The patch lead somebody kindly sent me, we wouldn't use anything that thick normally. But anyway, that's what we were very kindly sent by somebody, so we're going to use it. I've got an electronic digital SWR meter there. And this also goes to show what happens when you key up a radio into an aerial rather than a dummy load. Of course, get the mic and stuff. We're on channel 1, so it's the centre of the band. And transmit says 4.8 watts, 4.9 watts. It isn't, it's 4. So this is more BS. You know, people show these kind of things for sale on eBay, and it's not that power at all because it's into an aerial. So you've got to take into consideration SWR. So it says 1, which I presume is 1 to 1. Well, it isn't, it's 1 point. We did it on the analyzer. Could have used a conventional SWR meter. I'll tell you what, I'll go and see if I can find one. So I've managed to find a rather beat up Eurosonic one. And this type of meter is what's known as a trough line meter. And these are more accurate than the ones which seem to be offered these days. These were done with Yesu's branding on at one time. So radio into the bottom. I don't even know if this meter works. It's come in a box of stuff. So let's make sure I'm in camera. So we're in the centre channel, which is 1 in this case. Normally if you're doing for 40 channels it's going to be 20. So forward, we'll start up with that in a low position, and the idea is to get the meter to the set line, which is full scale deflection where it says set, then pop it into reflect, and it says 1.5, which is probably about what it is. So that's very good. So if we go to the band edges, let's go into CPT. So we're now on 26.965. We're right at the bottom of the band. Let's see what the SWR is there. So once again, check the set position, reflect, and it's 2.2. So at that point you started to get a bit of a loss. And then if we go into UK again, and we take it to channel 40, we're going to be at the top end of the band. Once again, we're going to set it, and the SWR is 1.6. So there you go. It's not quite as balanced as it could be. It really doesn't matter. It's obviously working better on UK channels than the bottom of the EU channels. Now, when we flick to EU, we go to channel 31. So let's just check what channel 31 is, because we don't bother changing channels unless there's radio traffic in the way. Right, there we go, 31. So CPT 31, check the set position, reflect, it's 1.6, it's absolutely fine. Right, so that's, we'd already done it, as you know, with the analyzer, if you watched that video. And if you didn't, fitting the aerial is worth watching. So what I need to do now is to put the aerial straight in the back of the set. And never keep an SWR meter in line. The UK regulations, they don't want you to do that because they emit interference. And the other thing, and we've demonstrated this before, legality aside, you're losing power, especially in receive, just with the insertion loss. Now if a radio has a built-in meter, and there's one or two models that do since probably 1999, it's not a problem. But when you've got an external meter and you've got plugs and sockets, it doesn't matter how good the coax is, UHF connectors, as they're called, the PL259s, the SO239s, start to become lossy. And even if it's a small way, you don't want to be just losing that signal. So we demonstrated that the other day, and you know, he was at the 5 mile point, Mr. Chippy, and I said, right, we'll put an SWR meter in, and you know, the signal really dropped. So it may look impressive having loads of meters all lit up, but you're losing power into them. So what the government say is, from time to time, put an SWR on from time to time, perhaps when you suspect something's not right. So I'll just connect this up. So just looking at the box, we've got the instruction book on this set, got the power lead, which we didn't use because I didn't want to connect the cigarette light plug off. Got a spare fuse, got a microphone clip. We've also got, this is a D&E bracket, so it can go where as car stereo goes, and then they've sent keys which fit that bracket, and a mic clip. So we're not going to use it because it's self-adhesive. We're going to use a drilled in one. So there, we'll just move the camera. I'll tell you what, we'll just go for a little drive up the road and we can hear the bad buddies somewhere else. Okay, so here we are at the top of the hill, all of 3/4 of a mile from Tango Towers, and it's kind of good for Nottingham. I come up here to test business radios when we need to talk back to taxi firms and that. So we're on 19, you can hear the usual, no doubt, burn the brigade from Nottingham. Auto squelch is too harsh to pick anything up. That's interference. Well, it won't work because of the burner brigade, but one on a Roger. Right, we'll go to CPT. jam-packed with interference. It's actually dead today. Let's go to AM, sit on the EU. I've got a spider clawing on my eyebrow. A bit there. Back to UK. Put it on auto scan. But it's never going to leave it, is it? For those of you not familiar with the radios, they've got up, down and auto squelch from the right. So there we are. Once again, thanks to the generosity of the CB'ers in East Antrim for providing this radio, and we'll carry on with our normal things in the next subsequent videos. I want to discuss some ex-business radios.
Down to 309 Neil, so told them fuck off.
Okay, with that, we will. Thank you for watching.